get right into it. Very quiet. Spear, 40,000 BC. Stone with wooden handle used for hunting. Boomerang, 23,000 BC. Hunting weapon, oldest discovered in a cave in Poland.
I honestly thought the boomerang was an Australian invention.
No. That's just what it's most commonly associated with.
Dagger, 5,000 BC, made up from bronze of copper alloys.
Yes.
Sword, 1,000 BC. So it's clear 1,000 BC. Swords were.
Yes, they're made of bronze and shit.
A tree bouquet, 500 BC. A ballista, developed in Greece. Crossbow was created in 200 BC, developed in China. Everything's made there, swear to God. Greek fire, 674.
Greek fire is very deadly.
Gunpowder, 800. A cannon was created in 1200. Used by Egyptian soldiers. Longbow was created in 1300. Matchlock, 1368.
Honestly, if you want to go into like a list of very
Flintlock,
very
1610.
weird but like different type of weapons that were effective, is honestly like World War I and World War II. Guns by themselves were very resourceful.
Yeah. A submarine, 1775. The first submarine used in battle is known as Turtle. Revolving gun, revolver, faster to reload than any other firearm, 1836. Machine gun, 1851, first gun that can be continuously fired. Oh Jesus. HMS Dreadnought, 1906, first of a massive new class of battleships. Vickers Fighting Biplane 1, 1912, first purpose-built fighter plane. A tank, 1914, during First World War, British Army introduced the first tank. Nuclear bomb, 1945, the United States built the first nuclear bomb. Hydrogen bomb, 1951. Only 6 countries, the United States, Russia, United Kingdom, China, France, and India have conducted thermal weapons. Laser, 1960, used for targeting off missiles and other weapons as an alternative radar. Taser, 1974, built as a non-lethal weapon after 5 years of work by NASA. 1974. Anti-satellite laser, 1997. Space weapons designed to indicate or destroy satellites. Drone, 2002. Unnamed aerial vehicles used will remain flight, so risky. So drones created 20 years ago. Flashbang grenade in 2006. It caused a bright flash without a shockwave. Weaponized small commercial drones, 2015. They carry explosives and cameras. PA Poseidon, 2019, submarine hunter. What about the future? Comment below. Damn. That really was the evolution of weapons throughout all these years. Yeah. Oh man, what else do we got for us? See what else pops up. Creative weapons of the medieval era. We can do that.
Oh
Hey kids, when most people think of the Middle Ages, they think of them as being like humanity's dumb teenage years, where all we did was play harpsichord in our room and burn heretics with our friends. But that's not entirely true. In fact, I would argue that the medieval era saw just as much genius as any other period in time. It's just most of that genius went towards finding new and creative ways to brutally slaughter those you disagree with. Here's a few highlights. First, we'll talk about the werewolf. So, as you can imagine, medieval castles were not easy to break into. They were basically like those jungle gym things at Chuck E. Cheese's. Massive in size, intentionally confusing layout, security everywhere, and by the end of your visit, you'd probably end up with some kind of disease. So in order to help penetrate fortresses, medieval armies would often utilize siege weapons, one of the most popular of which was the trebuchet. Now this device is interesting enough on its own, but it gets better. So around 1300 AD, King Edward I of England was in the process of invading Scotland. However, one fortress, known as Stirling Castle, was giving him a lot of trouble. He laid siege to the building for many months without any real progress. Then one day, he woke up and had a revelation. Hey guys, listen, why are we wasting our time building all these regular-sized trebuchets when we could just build one giant one and call it a day? So that's what he did. This gargantuan war machine was known as the Warwolf and stood at around 6 stories tall. To give a bit of perspective, this is about as tall as King Kong was in his largest film depiction. So basically, picture a giant fucking ape launching boulders like they're baseballs, and you've got a pretty good idea of what the Warwolf was capable of. It was so intimidating that when the Scots saw the English constructing the beast outside the castle, they immediately surrendered out of fear. But then Edward was like, "Ha, fuck that, I'm gonna test this bad boy out," and proceeded to take pot shots on the castle anyway. Another devious product of the Middle Ages was a flammable substance known as Greek fire. Contrary to popular belief, Greek fire was not invented by the ancient Greeks. Rick Riordan, you lying prick. It was actually invented in the 7th century AD by the Byzantines, who happened to inhabit Greece at the time. Historians still don't know exactly what it was made of, but they do know that it acted a lot like napalm, sticking to ships, sticking to people, even floating and continuing to burn on the surface of the water. The Byzantines also had these siphon-like tubes that they'd put on the front of their boats to pour Greek fire on the enemy, kinda like makeshift flamethrowers. These were retired pretty quickly though, mostly because when you put the words makeshift and flamethrower next to each other, you're bound to run into some problems eventually. Our next bright idea comes from a woman known as Olga of Kiev. So Olga was a princess who ruled the area around the capital of modern-day Ukraine from 945 to 963 AD. And she had quite a track record for being just a total badass. For example, the Drevlians, a tribe of people under Kiev's control, once sent 20 men to Kiev in order to convince Olga to marry their prince, under the pretense that if they did marry, the prince could claim her rule over Kiev. In response, she had all 20 of them buried alive. She then sent a letter to the prince saying she accepted his proposal, but she would need a bunch of his most distinguished governors to escort her on the journey. Once the men showed up, Olga was like, "Hey guys, long journey, huh? How'd you like to take a bath in this here bathhouse?" They were like, "Yeah, sure, that sounds great." "Okay, have fun, you guys." Man, it's like a sauna in here. It is a sauna, dipshit. You have a point. So long story short, this lady just did not give a heck. My favorite story about her starts with her besieging a Drevlian city that refused to pay tribute to her. The people in the city were already well aware of the type of rampaging that Olga was capable of, so they were already scared shitless. But when she showed up, she was like, "Alright, you know what guys, I'm gonna play nice. Just bring me 3 pigeons and 3 sparrows from each household and I'll be on my way." Okay. What are they for exactly? We're just hungry. I mean, we got some food too. We could just give... I'm sorry, did I fucking stutter? Alright, birds it is. Then, once the creatures were in Olga's hands, she had each of her soldiers tie a cloth-bound piece of sulfur to one of the birds' feet, which was then set alight. The birds were then released all at once, and when they flew back into the city, their nests acted like little piles of tinder, resulting in nearly every house in the entire city erupting in flames simultaneously. And while the whole place burned to the ground, Olga just sat and watched. By the way, it's worth mentioning that, after her death, Olga was canonized as a Catholic saint, presumably around the same time as Saint Tiffany, who went around pushing in the soft spots of babies, and Saint Jerry the Goat Fucker, who, as the name implies, fucked a lot of goats. In conclusion, pay your taxes. To my loyal subscribers, I'll see you in 3 months. I'm Sam Manella, and thank you for watching.
Oh my god.
Oh, I love that shit. It's so stupid.
And Saint Jerry the Goat Fucker.
perfect timing of the ending of the screen recording after you said that too.
Elite Facts presents 8 badass weapons from history. 8.
That channel.
Morningstar. This is pretty much the mace's more ruthless cousin. The Morningstar is made up of a solid wooden or metal shaft, atop which sits a large metal ball adorned with a number of spikes or blades. This medieval weapon was used by infantry and horsemen, as it was the primary method of attack due to how simplistic it was to use, as well as how effective it is when dealing with enemies. The most common target was, logically, the face or head, although the blow could be directed at the legs or knees in order to disable a foe. The Morningstar mace has returned throughout history in many different forms since its initial conception from medieval times, and these different designs are often confused with the mace. What makes these designs different? The difference is that a mace has no spikes, instead favoring metal studs. Either way, if you get hit by either one of these two, it's gonna hurt. 7. The Hungamunga. The Hungamunga may sound like something that's come straight out of the Lion King, but it is in fact one of the most deadly melee weapons in history. The Hungamunga is an iron fighting tool named by the African tribes south of Lake Chad. The Hungamunga is a handheld weapon and has a metal-pointed blade with a curved back section and a separate spike near the handle. The weapon has 2 functions, as it is most commonly used as a hand-to-hand weapon. However, it was originally designed to be throwable, as its curved design allows the blade to spin and to clear more distance when thrown. These African iron weapons are thrown with a rotary motion, much similar to how a boomerang is thrown, and are known to deal a lot of damage to the enemies it's aimed at. The Hungamunga comes in many shapes and sizes, and they're used across Africa from the Upper Nile on the east through Central Africa by Lake Chad to the Africans of the Gaboon in West Africa. 6. Chakram. Often mistaken for another weapon known as the glaive, which is actually a pole weapon that has a very similar blade, the chakram is more like a large throwing star. Also known as a war quoit, the weapon is of an Indian origin and was usually a large bladed metal disc. Chakrams were used both for throwing, like a frisbee, or in melee combat, where slashing was the usual method of attack. A different form of the chakram was the chakar. This bladed throwing weapon takes the form of a hoop rather than the disc, which the chakram is well known for. Chakars were used by Sikh warriors, again as both a throwing and melee weapon. The weapons have a frightening range of up to 100 meters, well manufactured. 5. Worcester. Now, what do you think the inspiration was behind the conception of this weapon? You would think it took inspiration from the Grim Reaper's favorite weapon, but no, it was instead created when someone decided to turn farming equipment into weaponry. War sets were altered so that the blade pointed straight from the top of the shaft. War sets were used as both a slashing and a stabbing weapon. Their weight and aerodynamic shape made them devastating. The war scythe is so durable and resilient that it's capable of cutting through a metal helmet belonging to an enemy soldier. The weapon is thought to have originated from use as an improvised weapon created by peasants, which was then adapted for military use. If ranged hand-to-hand combat is your forte, then this weapon is for you. 4. Nunchaku. Probably one of the most recognizable weapons on this list, the nunchaku originated as a tool for threshing crops. Yes, this is yet another piece of farming equipment that was turned into a weapon. Got some violent farmers out there. The nunchaku is an Okinawan weapon that consists of 2 lengths of solid wood, or in some cases 2 lengths of metal, that are joined together by a single length of chain. The weapon is used by holding onto one of the wooden arms and swinging the other extremely quickly at the victim. Normally, the user of this weapon would aim for 2 points in particular when in combat. Target areas would usually be the face or arms, as a hit to the arm with these nunchaku will cause the arm's bones to break on impact. As for a shot to the head, it would either give the victim a concussion or worse, could cause blunt trauma that could kill the victim if they don't receive help soon after the attack. 3. Bardage. This weapon is yet another ranged melee weapon that looks like a hybrid between that of a regular pole weapon and a battle axe. As you can see, this weapon combines both of the best aspects of each weapon, as it consists of a long pole to give the user the reach advantage when in combat, but also includes a wide axe head attached along the side and tip of the shaft, making it difficult for victims to dodge. The Bardage is of Eastern European and Russian origin. Used as a slashing or cleaving weapon, this weapon was wielded in 2 hands and swung both horizontally and vertically. Bardages were often wielded alongside a firearm for use in the event of close quarters encounters, although weapons of this style were in use long before the arrival of firearms. The power of the weapon came from the weight of the blade, which was usually over 2 feet wide. The method of attack would usually consist of cleaving at the limbs or torso of the foe. Yeah, after hearing that, I don't think anyone would want to attempt fighting someone who's carrying a Bardage. 2. Maul. Similar to and just as brutal as the modern-day sledgehammer, the maul is a nasty blunt force weapon that was invented and used by French citizens. Much like most of the weapons featured on this list, mauls were not originally used as weapons, but rather as tools. However, in time, they have been employed by various military factions for combat purposes. Its use is similar to that of the sledgehammer, meaning that there's no real strategy when using it. Just aim for a body part and watch the carnage ensue. Common target areas would be the head, as you'd expect, because that is essentially an instant kill no matter how you look at it, and the arms and legs so you can take away your victim's ability to fight back. A single blow from a maul is sufficient to shatter bones and cave in skulls, even when a helmet is worn. The length of the handle allowed for the maul to be wielded in 2 hands. Common tactic was to break the legs of the victim with a stout blow to the knees or shins, then finish the poor guy off with an overhead smash to the skull. Pretty much everything you'd expect when using a freaking sledgehammer as a weapon. 1. Blunderbuss. No one said anything about firearms not being eligible for this list. The blunderbuss is one of the very first forms of the shotgun, as it uses a loading system very similar to the musket, and it needs a refill of powder before each shot. The weapon was muzzle-loaded and is identified by the distinctive flared muzzle. This was actually the worst part about operating a blunderbuss, as the flared muzzle caused the shot to spread quite widely and reduce the muzzle velocity, meaning the shots outside of very close quarters resulted only in shrapnel wounds, rather than the more fatal wounds that would cause death. A blunderbuss could, in theory, be loaded with any kind of shrapnel or shot. Small stones or scraps of metal were used as ammunition at times. The blunderbuss was used by armies of various nationalities. However, this weapon originated from Europe. A smaller, one-handed version of the blunderbuss, called a flintlock pistol, was also used. As you'd probably expect from a wide-burst firearm, wounds sustained from a close-range hit would be brutal, potentially blowing away whole chunks of the body. It may be old, but this firearm is just plain badass.
Don't forget to like us and subscribe for more Elite Facts.
You know the FAMAS? The FAMAS M1, I know Kirby knows what it is. Only the French could make a rifle that's a 3-burst rifle and the magazine not divisible by 3. Only the fucking French. The original.
I see what you mean
now.
now.
Holds, I think, 26 rounds. Or no, it's like 27 or some shit.
If it is 27, then usually wouldn't there be an extra one already in the barrel? So it would be. Yeah. No, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
If you want to search up a fucking
it held 25 rounds.
Yeah. Let's see. How much ammunition is inside of a M60 box magazine?
Around 100 rounds.
I feel like it'd be more depending on the caliber.
Well, it's gonna be 5.56.
So what should we talk about now, dude? Should we keep talking about history weapons, or should we keep making Jacob laugh?
It's gonna be good either way. So
Honestly, that's true. Actually, while we're on the topic of firearms, I'm gonna shame Jacob real quick because he's left-handed in shooting.
it's not. Hey, it's not
I believe anyone who's left-handed in any sort of way shall burn in hell.
Thank you, Kirby. I already know I'm going there.
No problem, and I'll go there too for making all the jokes that I already do.
Dad?